It's Wednesday, April 7. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, says it's focusing on expanding its surveillance network to identify and track variants of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Director of PAHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, says several countries in the Caribbean have reported cases of the variants. She was speaking at a recent PAHO virtual press brief.
21 countries are now participating in our COVID-19 genomic surveillance network, giving us a much better picture of the variants circulating in our region. At least one of the 3 variants of concern have been identified in 32 countries and territories of the Americas. And we are working hand in hand with member states to increase their capacity and to improve reporting of these variants. We are also conducting analysis to better understand the real impact of these variants in some of the most highly affected areas.
A technical consultation on variants determined that it is important to continue and strengthen the genomic surveillance, but she says the message of prevention remains the same.
But what we must do to prevent transmissions with or without circulation of virus is to maintain the public health distancing and control measures that already exist, including now vaccination. And these measures have not been modified in any way.
As the region prepares for the summer season, Dr. Etienne is cautioning authorities and individuals to be mindful that the virus is spread through population movement.
PAHO keeps track of and analyzes mobility data from internet and phone companies, and we see time and again that as the population in certain areas leave home more frequently, that cases rise. When holidays come, and people from different households meet indoors, cases rise, as they do when people travel more. So summer is ending in the southern hemisphere, and it is no accident that the vacation season is being followed by a rise in cases in several countries. Without preventive action, our region could face an upsurge that is even larger than the last one. So let me be as clear as possible. My main guidance for places experiencing surges in transmission can be summarized in 2 words: stay home. If you can avoid having others over, avoid it. And if you must leave your house, wear a mask, wash your hands frequently, and stay away from crowded spaces.
The $126 million that was promised by the government to assist the most vulnerable Jamaicans during 3 weekends of lockdowns is to be in the Constituency Development Fund on Wednesday. Finance and Public Service Minister Dr. Nigel Clark had made the announcement in Parliament recently.
In light of the program Triple Weekend Lockdown, the Government of Jamaica will provide support in aggregate equivalent to $2 million per constituency, but meaning that will have to take account of local government as well, right? Sometimes with the unknown constituencies, councils say, hey, what about me? So a total of $126 million through representatives to assist citizens during these weekends of lockdown.
The finance minister said in the interest of accountability and transparency, these kinds of allocations are disbursed through the CDF and relevant implementation agencies rather than directly to MPs.
The provision will be disbursed through the CDF on the 1st of April. We'll have to work on the operational dynamics because I know people may need to move before, but given where we are at this point of the fiscal year, drawing warrants for that is not practical. But this is the policy intent, that funds will be made available to ease the burden that citizens face, the most vulnerable of citizens, over those lockdown weekends.
The lockdown weekends were imposed by the government as one of the latest measures to control the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19. Here's the latest COVID-19 clinical management summary.
In the clinical management summary for Tuesday, April 6, 72 new positive cases and 9 deaths were reported. The island's death toll now stands at 631, with the 9 recorded over the last 24 hours. The new cases were pulled from 391 test samples. The parish breakdown is as follows. Kingston and St. Andrew saw 36 new positives, 11 in St. Catherine and 6 in St. James. Hanover and Westmoreland had 5, Portland 4, St. Ann and St. Thomas recorded 2, and Manchester 1. The other parishes reported no cases. No recoveries were reported over that 24-hour period. That total remains at 18,444. There are 417 persons being hospitalized, with 42 persons moderately ill and 37 critical. Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
Today, April 7, is being observed World Health Day under the theme, Together for a Fairer, Healthier World. It is a call for urgent action to eliminate health inequities and mobilize action to attain better health for all and to leave no one behind. This year, COPPA joins the world to observe World Health Day. It's a call for all leaders to monitor health inequities and address their root causes to ensure that everyone has access to the living and working conditions that are conducive to good health and to quality health services where and when they need them, and to invest in primary health care to achieve health for all by all. In a statement, COPPA said we all need to ensure that no one is left behind. COPPA urges member states to develop and implement fairer policies and actions to achieve health equity. Countries are encouraged to strengthen intersectoral, regional and national action to address social determinants of health approach, gender equity, right to health, the monitoring of health inequalities, strengthening the health systems, and knowledge dissemination. Jamaica has joined the commemoration of the first anniversary of the establishment of the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, the OACPS, an occasion which also calls for the entry into force of the revised Georgetown Agreement on April 5, 2020. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Camilla Johnson-Smith, says in a statement, quote, "This celebration comes at a time of unprecedented challenges when the world finds itself in the grip of a deadly global pandemic. Member states are confronted with unimaginable challenges to guaranteeing the economic and social well-being of our peoples." End quote. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett has revealed that Jamaica has finalized agreement with global cruise company Norwegian Cruise Line to homeport one of their vessels in Montego Bay, with service set to begin on August 7, 2021. In a release, Minister Bartlett said, quote, "While we know there are some concerns about the safety of the cruise line industry at this time, we want to assure the public that the cruise lines are adhering to strict COVID-19 safety protocols." End quote. The Norwegian Joy is the vessel which will be used to transport passengers embarking from Jamaica, and the itineraries will include 7-day packages sailing out of Montego Bay. With this announcement, Jamaica now joins a number of other Caribbean destinations that will be home ports for leading cruise lines. The Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings Limited is a leading international cruise company which operates several brands, including the Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania Cruises and Regent Seven Seas Cruises. In a recent advert, President and Chief Executive Officer Harry Sommer said the company is repositioning itself in 2021.
Our global team, alongside industry leaders and renowned health and safety experts, have rallied to help ensure that we resume operations safely so we can continue to provide unforgettable vacation experiences at sea. 2021 will not only bring the relaunch of the Norwegian Cruise Line fleet, but also reimagined port of calls, amazing itineraries for extraordinary journeys, fleet-wide enhancements, plus the much anticipated launch of our brand new class of ships, and so much more.
With a combined fleet of 28 ships with approximately 59,150 berths, these brands offer itineraries to more than 490 destinations globally. The company is slated to introduce 9 additional ships through to 2027. We now go to Gabriel Thompson for this quick business report.
In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index advanced by 2,007 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 92 stocks, of which 38 advanced, 38 declined, and 16 traded firm. The Junior Market Index advanced by 14 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica, 138 Student Living Variable Preference, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company. Trading firm were Blue Power Group, CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares, and Epley Caribbean Property Fund. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited was the volume leader with 4.3 million units, followed by Lasco Distributors Limited with 3.1 million units, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 2.5 million units. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, April 6, the US dollar ended trading at $147.13. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $117.25. The pound sterling traded for $204.44, and the euro ended trading at $174.83. Oil prices eased on Wednesday despite prospects for stronger economic growth as talks to revive a nuclear deal with Iran opens the possibility of an easing of sanctions on its oil exports. Brent crude futures fell by 36 cents to $62.38 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures lost 36 cents to $58.97 a barrel. And on that note, we close this Wednesday edition of the Business Report Inside the News on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
In news from across the region, in Trinidad and Tobago, the health minister believes the population has responded well to getting vaccinated following the start of the rollout of COVID vaccines on Tuesday. He says as of 2 p.m. Tuesday, over 700 vaccines were administered across the various regional health authorities. Sunil Lala reports.
As promised, Health Minister Terence Yalsing was among the first to be vaccinated on Tuesday, as the distribution of the 33,600 doses received via the COVAX facility began. Mr. Yalsing was quick to defend the vaccine, following an international report suggesting that the AstraZeneca vaccine was linked to blood clots.
So the rollout will continue as planned. What has also been said, and which I think we should also report on, is that the benefits of the vaccine in terms of preventing deaths far outweigh whatever minimal risks there are.
But Mr. Yalsing added that the uptake of the vaccine locally has been promising.
North Central RHA, 234. Northwest RHA, 63. Southwest RHA, 274. ERHA, Eastern RHA, 72. And TRHA, Tobago RHA, 84. That gives you a total of 727. That is at 2 p.m.
Health Minister Terence Yalsing says the level of vaccine acceptance has so far been high on the first day of the national rollout. And now he believes the initial target of vaccinating 1,000 persons per day could be easily surpassed.
We intend to double and triple the amount of vaccination sites within the next 2 to 3 weeks to a month.
The minister also spoke with TTT News after receiving the vaccine.
Very good. I spent my 30 minutes of observation. I feel no different now than I did before. Everything went well. I'm fine. So I'm on my way home. All went well.
As of now, there are 21 vaccine sites across all regional health authorities, including 3 in Tobago. Sonolala, TTT News.
In Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Mottley maintains she did nothing wrong in the face of criticism related to her handling of a phone call from a cookshop owner Ross Ashton during a luncheon at Deacons Road, St. Michael on Good Friday. A report on social media claimed the Prime Minister asked police officers who attempted to shut down the event to stand down. But speaking to reporters, Ms. Mottley made it clear this was not the case.
No breaches of any kind. The words of Prime Minister Mia Mottley amid public debate over a Good Friday incident involving Ross Ashton, the owner of a cook shop in Deacons Road, St. Michael. She has been accused by political rivals of overstepping her powers when she spoke to police officers after they tried to stop Ashton from operating.
Do we understand what separation of powers is? Where is the breach? And that's where I started, when you started, I said, where is the breach? What is the breach? Because nobody can identify it clearly, because there was no breach of protocol and there was no breach of separation of powers. I receive a call, people ask a question, are restaurants allowed to be open? I said, yes, subject to protocols. They say, well, up and down, people here, and the police. I said, and what is the issue? The officer was there. I said, are they adhering to the social protocols, physical distancing protocols? The man said, yes. And certainly from the photographs I have seen since, they clearly were, it was an accurate description of what was happening. So let's stay focused on the matters that really, really have to concern this country, and to give these same persons who regrettably continue to be the victims of discrimination and classism in their own country a chance to be able to breathe freely and lightly. And if they do wrong, then the people pay for it. And if they don't do wrong, then equally they must be given the opportunity to live in the land of their birth. And that's all I'm asking for.
Motley told reporters she believes it's an issue of class and discrimination.
This country has to be premised on fairness and non-discrimination. And why do I keep coming back to this cancer of discrimination? Discrimination shows itself in many, 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 many different ways. And that's why I said very glibly, but very accurately, that if it was a call from Warrens or from Bridgetown or from a West Coast hotelier or a South Coast hotelier, it would be called facilitation. But because it comes from a boy in Deacons, a man in Deacons, it is now interference. Have we looked in the mirror and seen ourselves recently and asked ourselves why we are perpetuating all of these myths about who we are?
In St. Kitts and Nevis, speaking at the opening of a new branch of Basseterre, officials of the Bank of Nevis says the launch is indicative of indigenous banks in the region taking on greater responsibility for regional development. Glenn Bart reports.
Bank of Nevis recently acquired the Royal Bank of Canada and the RBTT branch on Nevis. The growth of the bank into the St. Kitts market is not new, but its physical presence on St. Kitts facilitates easier customer services. Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Mr. Timothy Antoine, said the expansion is welcomed in the market.
This acquisition presents a tremendous opportunity for Bank of Nevis to further integrate the islands, frankly, of Nevis and St. Kitts, and also to expand its development footprint and impact on the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I want to situate this acquisition in a broader movement of indigenous banks in our region to take a bigger share of the banking system and to deliver more solutions to the people of our region.
Premier Mark Brantley of the Nevis Island Administration commented on the close commercial relationship that is developing between the two islands.
And it shows how inextricably bound up these two islands have become. That in terms of family ties, we know that those have always existed. But now in terms of business and commerce, that the two islands are certainly moving forward together as one. And so to the good people of St. Christopher, our beloved sister, I would encourage you to continue to do business with the Bank of Nevis and to continue to strengthen this institution, as you have heard, an indigenous institution.
Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris said the government of St. Kitts and Nevis supported its purchase of the Royal Bank of Canada.
Today it is an honor for me to witness the culmination of the journey of the Bank of Nevis Limited since it took the bold decision to purchase the operations of RBC and RBTT in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Along this journey, as you have heard from the chairman, the federal government has done its part to facilitate the undertaking by ensuring that the Bank of Nevis was supported every step of the way. as chairman of the Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, I am proud to highlight the work of the bank in the assessment of the proposal for the purchase and the subsequent approval by the Monetary Council.
The Bank of Nevis has been operating in the Federation for the past 35 years. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
In sports, we kick off with football. Jamaica's representatives to the Flow CONCACAF Caribbean Championship, Portmore United and Waterhouse FC, have both withdrawn from the 2021 edition. The clubs are claiming inactivity and financial constraints as the main reasons behind their decision to forego the region's top football competition. In a joint release from the Professional Football Jamaica Limited, the football arm responsible for Jamaica's Premier League, the clubs with both represent Jamaica in the previous installment, declared that there was inadequate preparations for the tournament, with Jamaica still facing COVID-19 restrictions and no clear date set for football resumption. Meanwhile, Chris Williams, chairman of PFJL, says he's in full support of the club's decision to play or not in the league that he is responsible for. And that's the news. Thanks so much for making it PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.